In a town shrouded in secrets, where shadows whispered and evil lurked, an unthinkable crime unfolded. This is the chilling tale that would shake a community to its core, leaving scars that would never truly heal. Prepare yourself for a journey into the depths of darkness as we unravel the haunting story of Shania Davis. Fayetteville, North Carolina, a seemingly idyllic place where laughter once echoed through the air, now stands as a haunting backdrop to a tragedy that would test the limits of human endurance. In the heart of this picturesque town, a young girl's life was stolen, her innocence ripped away by the hands of malevolence. The news spread like wildfire, a ripple of fear and despair that gripped the town's soul. The disappearance of 5-year-old Shania Davis sent shockwaves through the community, piercing the illusion of safety and exposing the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. The search began, an army of determined souls desperately seeking any sign of the precious child. Forests were scoured, abandoned buildings were explored, and every lead was pursued with unwavering determination. The weight of the unknown hung heavy in the air. As time ticked away, each passing second heightening the urgency of the search. Parents torn apart, their world crumbling around them. Bradley Lockhart and Antoinette Davis clung to a flickering hope. Their anguished faces etched with worry, their tearful pleas echoed through the streets, reaching the hearts of strangers who became united in a shared mission. A mission to bring Shania home. But as the investigation unfolded, darker truths emerged, shattering the fragile hope that had been clinging to their hearts. Betrayal, deception, and unspeakable acts were unveiled, revealing a web of darkness that threatened to consume them all. The courtroom became the stage for a battle between good and evil. The truth fought to break free from the clutches of deceit as the accused stood before the judge, their souls weighed down by the enormity of their crimes. It was a battle for justice, a battle to bring closure to a community that had been irrevocably scarred. Brace yourself for the harrowing journey that lies ahead, a tale of tragedy, resilience, and the enduring power of hope. This is the real-life nightmare that unfolded in the depths of Fayetteville, a story that will forever haunt your dreams and remind you of the darkness that can hide in even the most unsuspecting corners of our world. In a small town nestled amidst the rolling hills of North Carolina, the sunlit days cast a warm glow on the quiet streets. Families laughed and children played, unaware of the darkness lurking beneath the surface. Among them was a vibrant 5-year-old girl named Shania Davis, a spirited soul with sparkling eyes that mirrored her innocence. Shania's life was a tapestry woven with imperfections. Raised by a single mother, Antoinette, her young heart yearned for stability and affection. Antoinette, burdened by her own troubles, wrestled with the challenges of providing for her daughter. Financial struggles and the grip of addiction weighed heavily upon her shoulders. But within Shania's tender soul, love knew no bounds. She cherished every fleeting moment of joy that they managed to share. Born on a chilly February 14, 2004 day, Shania entered the world as a product of a brief fling between Antoinette Davis and Bradley Lockhart. In those early years, her mother took on the role of caregiver, despite her financial hardships and battles with addiction. However, recognizing the need for stability, Shania's father, Bradley, stepped forward. With the help of his sister, Carrie Lockhart Davis, they embraced the responsibility of raising the young girl together. In an effort to foster a bond between Shania and her mother, Bradley allowed Antoinette to spend time with her whenever she desired. But on a fateful day, October 9, 2009, a decision was made that would forever alter their lives. Bradley, believing in second chances, entrusted Shania's care to a mother. Antoinette had seemingly turned a corner, securing employment and showing signs of overcoming her financial difficulties. It was a chance for mother and daughter to forge a connection. Antoinette, along with her 2 children, found themselves residing in the Sleepy Hollow trailer park in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They sought refuge within the cramped quarters shared with her sister, Brenda, Brenda's children, and Brenda's former flame Joy. But lurking in the shadows of this fragile domestic arrangement was another figure, Clarence Coe, Antoinette's boyfriend, and the father of her unborn child. Brenda, Shania's aunt, had once been involved with a man named Mario McNeil. Mario, in an act of generosity, had assisted Brenda by providing the necessary funds for their trailer park deposit. However, their relationship had long since dissolved, leaving behind an unresolved connection. Little did they know, the intertwining threads of their lives were about to unravel, unveiling a web of darkness and despair that none could have anticipated. On the evening of November 9, 2009, and into the early hours of November 10th, Mario, under the influence of cocaine and alcohol, engaged in texting various females on his phone. He attempted to reach out to Brenda, but her phone was turned off. Mario then started exchanging text messages with another woman named Tasia, who also resided in Sleepy Hollow. They agreed that Mario would come over to her place. However, when Mario arrived at Sleepy Hollow at 2:52 a.m. on November 10th, Tasia had already fallen asleep and did not respond to his texts. At 3:06 a.m., Mario sent a goodnight message to Tasia, and a minute later, at 3:07 a.m., he made another attempt to text Brenda. November 10th, 2009. In the early hours of the morning, when the world slumbered in oblivious peace, Brenda stirred from her sleep, an unsettling feeling tugging at her senses. The faint creak of a bedroom door opening penetrated the stillness, jolting her awake. Instinctively, she nudged Joy, sharing her unease. Briefly dismissing their concerns, they both drifted back into their realm of dreams. But destiny had other plans. As the clock neared 6 a.m., Antoinette entered the room, her face etched with worry and desperation. Her voice trembled as she posed a question that would pierce through the hazy fog of sleep. "Have you seen Shania?" Brenda and Joy exchanged bewildered glances, shaken from their slumber once more. In unison, they shook their heads, signaling their ignorance to Shania's whereabouts. With a resolute determination, Antoinette declared her intent to venture outside, embarking on a solitary quest to find her missing daughter. The weight of anguish hung heavy in the air as she disappeared into the dimly lit morning. Meanwhile, within the confines of the trailer, secrets whispered through the cracks. Antoinette's young son, scarcely 7 years old, divulged a startling revelation to Brenda and Joy. Mario, a figure from their past, had been present the night before. Joy, grappling with disbelief, probed further, seeking confirmation. But the boy's innocent voice rang out, adamant in its conviction. Yeah, he was here. Brenda, her heart racing, attempted to contact Mario, desperate for answers. Calls and messages went unanswered, painting an ominous silence that deepened their growing dread. Seeking solace in the comforting embrace of a familiar voice, Joy dialed April Autry, hoping she could provide some respite from the encroaching darkness. But her words shattered their hopes. Mario was not with her. Antoinette returned, her face etched with despair, recounting her fruitless quest through the Sleepy Hollow neighborhood. It was then that Brenda, fueled by a mix of concern and intuition, implored Antoinette to call the police, to unleash the full force of the law in their pursuit of Shania's safe return. But Antoinette hesitated, gripped by an inexplicable fear that clutched at her soul. A sense of urgency propelled Brenda and Joy outside, their eyes scanning their surroundings, and there, in a twisted tapestry of horror, they beheld a sight that defied comprehension. Feces stained the once pristine stairs and railings of the trailer, a grotesque presence that had not tainted their home the night before. And within the repulsive mess, illegible yellow writings, a macabre testament to an unseen hand's wickedness. News of the missing child spread like wildfire throughout the town, igniting fear and sorrow in the hearts of its residents. A tight-knit community rallied together, setting aside their differences and joining the search for Shania. They combed through woods, scoured parks, and plastered flyers on every lamppost, hoping to catch even the faintest glimpse of the beloved little girl. A tireless investigative team, led by determined officers, pursued every lead with relentless determination. Their mission was clear: to find Shania and bring her home. safe and sound. In the murky dawn of that same morning, when shadows clung to the world, a nearby hotel unwittingly became a stage for a sinister act. Within the confines of the Comfort Inn and Suites in Sanford, a grainy surveillance camera stood as a silent witness, capturing a scene that would send shivers down the spines of all who dared to watch. Mario, a figure cloaked in an unsettling aura, arrived at the hotel's entrance alone. With a calm demeanor, he presented his identification to the front desk clerk, Jacqueline Lee, and smoothly checked into room 201, revealing his true identity without a hint of hesitation. His words slithered from his lips, weaving a deceptive tale, an impending journey to reunite his daughter with her mother in Virginia. The hotel security cameras bore witness to Mario's movements, etching them into a digital tapestry of chilling significance. After completing the check-in process, he retraced his steps to the rear of the parking lot, where his vehicle patiently awaited. Minutes ticked by, a solemn countdown to an unspeakable act. Mario re-emerged, clutching a child, their form concealed beneath the protective embrace of a blue blanket. Jacqueline Lee, ever vigilant, caught a glimpse of this haunting spectacle through the watchful eye of the video feed. The texture of the child's hair etching itself in her memory. Unbeknownst to Mario, an unsuspecting traveler, Seth Chambers, crossed paths with him in the hotel hallway near room 201 at precisely 6:24 a.m. Chambers, engrossed in his own affairs, cast a fleeting glance upon the man and the child he carried. The image seared itself into his mind, an indelible mark on his consciousness. The wheels of fate turned once more as the morning shift change beckoned. Jacqueline Lee handed over the reins to Regina Bacani, a fresh face to greet the dawning day. In that transition, secrets whispered in the air, their weight heavy with a foreboding sense of urgency. Mario, detached from any companion, sauntered into the breakfast area, a silent act in its own right. He procured sustenance, a banana, some juice, and a muffin, before retreating to the confines of his room. Jacqueline, with a sense of trepidation, pointed out Mario to Regina, imparting the tale of his recent check-in. The hotel's cameras diligently recorded the passage of time. At 6:36 a.m., they bore witness to Mario's steps, leading him toward the breakfast area. But instead of indulging in a communal nourishment, he retraced his path, retreating down the desolate corridor, sustenance clutched in his hands like a grotesque offering to an unseen force. In this symphony of haunting surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts, a chilling truth began to unfold, laying bare the malevolence lurking within the seemingly ordinary walls of the hotel. The innocent child, hidden beneath a blanket, had become a pawn in a game whose rules were unspeakable, and time, like sand through an hourglass, slipped away with each passing moment. As the sun climbed higher, casting its harsh light upon the troubled abode of Sleepy Hollow, a call for justice reverberated through the hallowed halls of despair. Antoinette, her resolve solidified by Brenda's insistence, reached for the lifeline that would summon the guardians of order. At 6:52 a.m., the police were alerted to the plight of a missing child, a desperate plea that pierced through the chaos of shattered dreams. With an urgency matched only by the beating of anxious hearts, law enforcement descended upon the scene, their presence injecting a glimmer of hope into the darkness that had descended upon Sleepy Hollow. Canines, trained for the scent of desperation, joined the search, their noses diligently sniffing for any trace of young Shania. Interviews commenced, unraveling the threads of a grim tapestry woven with deceit and treachery. Among the officers on the scene stood Elizabeth Culver, a beacon of justice in the midst of turmoil. Her trained eyes caught sight of a disturbing substance coating the railings of the front porch, its true nature unraveling with every passing moment. The feces, smooth as if poured deliberately, stained the entrance like a grotesque proclamation of vicious ill will. In this tumultuous encounter, Antoinette clutched a cooking pot, a feeble attempt to wash away the stains that besmirched her abode. Officer Culver, aware of the futile act, pleaded for restraint, her words echoing with a solemn plea to preserve any possible evidence. Within the confines of a trash can tucked away in Unit 1119, a sinister discovery awaited. Antoinette's identification of a blanket, claimed as her own, sent tremors of recognition through Geroy's mind. It had once adorned the living room of the trailer, a seemingly innocuous piece in the tapestry of their lives, but now it bore the marks of a tainted reality, feces staining its once comforting embrace. Jennifer Slish, a forensic technician driven by the pursuit of truth, seized the blanket, its fibers trembling beneath her touch. It would undergo meticulous scrutiny, a search for hidden secrets concealed with the confines of fluids, fibers, and hairs. In the crucible of Sleepy Hollow, where darkness intertwined with hope, the wheels of justice churned, unyielding in their pursuit of answers. The once peaceful abode now stood as a battleground where fragments of truth mingled with the echoes of a young girl's innocence, lost amidst the chaos. In the early hours of the morning, the Comfort Suites Hotel became the unwitting backdrop for a harrowing sequence of events. At 7:34 a.m., Mario emerged from room 201, cradling the innocent figure of Shania, concealed beneath a blanket. Their departure did not go unnoticed, as Matthew Argyle, the diligent maintenance worker, caught a glimpse of the unfolding scene. With a glance that spoke volumes, Mario made eye contact with Argyle before continuing his journey. Argyle, sensing something was amiss, discreetly observed Mario's actions. He watched as Shania was placed in the back seat of the car, and Mario, cigarette or cigar in hand, assumed the role of the driver. Their path led them to the hotel's pavilion, where Mario extinguished his smoking companion before returning inside. Meanwhile, Regina Bacani at the front desk unwittingly played a role in this disturbing narrative. Mario requested his security deposit, claiming the urgency of reuniting his daughter with her mother in Virginia. Cocaine residue, discovered by a housekeeper, further deepened the sense of foreboding. Unbeknownst to Argyle, the consequences of that morning would not fully unveil themselves until the following day, when the weight of an Amber Alert bore down upon them all. Mario's departure from the hotel, captured by surveillance cameras at 7:40 a.m., marked the beginning of a journey filled with darkness and despair. With a left turn onto the highway, Mario and Shania faded into the unknown, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions in a community gripped by fear. On the morning Shania was found missing, Antoinette, her mother, underwent her first interview with law enforcement. During this initial questioning, Mario informed Detective Bowman that she had no knowledge of what happened to Shania or who could have been responsible for her disappearance. According to Antoinette's account, she had put Shania to sleep in her brother's bedroom around 5 a.m. that morning. However, at approximately 6 a.m., Shania's brother informed his mother that Shania was no longer in bed with him. Upon realizing that no one in the trailer had seen Shania, Antoinette conducted a search in the immediate vicinity of her neighborhood before ultimately contacting the police for assistance. As the interview neared its conclusion, Antoinette expressed her frustration at spending a significant amount of time at the police station instead of actively searching for Shania. In response, Detective Bowman informed her that she could leave if she truly wished to do so. Despite this offer, Antoinette decided to remain at the station, declining the opportunity to leave. Eventually, she departed the station approximately 6 hours after her initial arrival. The morning of November 11, 2009 brought an unsettling realization to Connie and Lee, who were once again at their post during their shift change at Comfort Suites. Glowing on the hotel's computer screen was an Amber Alert, capturing their attention. Lee couldn't shake the haunting resemblance between the alert's image and the child she had seen in the company of the accused the previous day. Driven by their suspicions, Lee promptly dialed the Amber Alert hotline, sharing the chilling connection. The footage sent shockwaves through the community, reviving their flickering hope. But by the time authorities arrived at the hotel, McNeil and the little girl had vanished into thin air. Responding to the call, Slish, the dedicated forensic technician, swiftly arrived at room 201, ready to gather crucial evidence. The hotel manager revealed that although the bedding remained untouched, the trash had been disposed of, and a towel removed before the gravity of the situation became apparent. Undeterred by these obstacles, Slish diligently collected 2 comforters from the beds in room 201, ensuring no stone was left unturned in the search for truth. Detective Bowman conducted a second interview with Antoinette Davis at 5:25 p.m. on November 11, 2009, which lasted approximately 30 minutes. During this interview, Ms. Davis made a revelation to Detective Bowman, stating that her boyfriend, Clarence Coe, was responsible for taking Shania. According to her account, Ms. Davis claimed that during the early morning hours of November 10th, after engaging in a heated argument with Antoinette, Coe struck Shania twice in the face. She asserted that she tried to intervene, but Coe then fled in a car with a 5-year-old girl. Ms. Davis further disclosed to Detective Bowman that she believed Shania could be located somewhere in the vicinity of Murchison Road. Clarence was arrested and charged with the kidnapping of Shania Davis, but he was quickly cleared and released. After the emergence of the hotel videos showing Mario with a child believed to be Shania, Brenda Davis and Troy Smith provided information to the police. They informed the authorities that Shania's 7-year-old brother had witnessed Mario's presence at the trailer on the night Shania went missing. Additionally, Brenda herself had witnessed an encounter between Mario and Antoinette at their aunt's house. Antoinette responded angrily, expressing her desire to know the whereabouts of her baby. Mario, upon hearing this, quickly got into his car and drove away. Brenda started doubting Antoinette's honesty regarding her knowledge of the situation, leading to an argument between them. From that point on, they ceased communication. Under the pressure of intense questioning, Mario found himself cornered by the determined law enforcement officers. It was the evening of November 12th, and the urgency to locate Shania was palpable. Though 2 days had passed since her disappearance, hope for her safe return still lingered. Initially, Mario tried to distance himself from any involvement. He reluctantly admitted to being present at Sleepy Hollow shortly after midnight on November 10th, driving his black Mitsubishi. However, he vehemently denied visiting Brenda Davis's trailer, claimed ignorance of Shania's existence, and insisted he had no connection to her. He adamantly denied ever having her in his vehicle or leaving the city limits, adamantly denying any presence in Sanford or at a hotel. When confronted with undeniable evidence, a photograph of himself at the hotel, Mario attempted to disassociate from the image, denying it was him. As the officers presented further incriminating details, such as the fact that he had checked into the hotel using his identification and home address, Mario grasped for excuses, suggesting he might have lost his identification. Finally, after almost an hour of persistent interrogation, the truth began to surface. Mario reluctantly admitted to being at the hotel with Shania. He started weaving a tale about receiving a text message, supposedly from Brenda Davis's phone, instructing him to collect Shania from the porch of Sleepy Hollow. Mario claimed he complied, taking Shania to the hotel room where he indulged in cocaine. According to his account, while he was there, an unknown person or persons contacted him, demanding that he bring Shania to a nearby dry cleaning establishment located at the intersection of Country Club Drive and Ramsey Street. Mario asserted that he handed Shania over to these unidentified individuals who were driving a gray Nissan Maxima. With each revelation, the web of deception surrounding Shania's disappearance grew more intricate and disturbing. The officers knew they had to pursue every lead and unravel the truth behind Mario's conflicting statements. Agent Braunstrom's testimony revealed a crucial turning point in the interview with Mario. As the conversation unfolded, Mario unexpectedly uttered a chilling statement, mentioning that he was awaiting a call to come to her. This shocking revelation instantly shifted the focus of the interrogation. The officers desperately tried to probe further, hoping to extract more information from Mario regarding this disturbing declaration, but he remained tight-lipped, refusing to elaborate. To corroborate Mario's claims, the officers examined the messages exchanged on his phone with Brenda. However, they discovered that the content of these messages did not align with Mario's assertion of being instructed to pick up someone waiting on a porch. Contrary to his narrative, there were no calls or text messages received by Mario from unknown individuals during that period. Instead, The only communication recorded was between Mario's and Brenda's phones. The mounting inconsistencies and discrepancies began to paint a clearer picture, exposing Mario's web of deceit. As the interview drew to a close, the gravity of the situation could no longer be ignored. Mario was promptly arrested for the kidnapping of Shania. Later, when the police reviewed the videotape of the interview, they stumbled upon a startling revelation. During a break, the officers had left Mario alone in the interview room momentarily. The footage captured a peculiar sequence of events. Mario made the sign of the cross, retrieved a key, positioned himself on the floor, and inserted the key into an electrical socket on the wall. He appeared to receive a jolt, leading him to remove his shoes before repeating the action by inserting the key into the socket once more. These perplexing actions raised more questions about Mario's state of mind and his intentions. The puzzle surrounding Shania's disappearance deepened, leaving the authorities to wonder what secrets lay beneath Mario's enigmatic behavior. The search intensified, reaching new heights of urgency and desperation. Shania's father, Bradley Lockhart, stood before the media, his voice cracking with raw emotion. Tear-stained eyes and trembling hands conveyed the anguish of a shattered soul as he pleaded for his daughter's safe return. The nation watched, hearts breaking collectively as Bradley's heart-wrenching words echoed in their ears. The fourth and final interview with Shania's mother commenced at 11:53 a.m. on November 14, 2009, lasting approximately 5.5 hours. Antoinette began discussing her personal background for the first 2 hours. Eventually, Antoinette mentioned feeling unwell and complained of stomach pain. She revealed to the officers that she was pregnant. Detective Pollard suggested that she undergo an examination at the health department, but Antoinette declined, emphasizing her commitment to finding her daughter. Subsequently, Antoinette proceeded to recount the events surrounding Shania's disappearance. She described waking up on the morning of November 10, 2009, to discover that Shania was no longer in the house. When Antoinette inquired about any visitors, her sister's boyfriend mentioned Mario. However, Antoinette asserted that she neither saw nor heard anyone in the house and maintained her innocence regarding Shania's disappearance. In previous interviews, Antoinette admitted to lying and placing the blame on Coe. She explained that her falsehoods were influenced by Detective Bowman's intimidating tactics and attempts to coerce her into revealing unknown information. When asked if she felt scared by Detective Pollard, Antoinette responded negatively. Motivated by Coe's arrest resulting from her false statements, Antoinette expressed her desire to tell the truth. Sergeant Corcusson emphasized the importance of honesty, highlighting that Mario was already in custody and claimed that Antoinette knew what happened to Shania. The officers assured her that they were aware of the truth, but needed to hear it from her directly, urging Antoinette to stay on the path of truthfulness. They repeatedly assured her that regardless of what she revealed, she would leave the room. Antoinette disclosed that Mario visited the trailer because he wanted to engage in sexual activities with her. Sergeant Corcione encouraged her to remain truthful, stating that they needed her to account to ensure justice for Shania. Overwhelmed, Antoinette emotionally confessed that Mario took Shania to a motel room with her consent, under the agreement that he would only have. She believed this arrangement would settle her $200 debt to Mario. Antoinette claimed that the plan involved Mario taking Shania to the motel for another individual to engage in sexual acts with her, although she was unaware of the identity of this third party. Antoinette was asked for further details about her agreement with Mario, but she denied having knowledge of the specifics of his plan for Shania. She was then left alone in the interview room. Inquiring about the remaining time, Sergeant Corcione assured her that it wouldn't be much longer. Antoinette took additional breaks for the bathroom and a cigarette break, even inviting Detective Pollard to join her outside. When she returned, she had one more bathroom break before being left alone in the interview room for approximately 30 minutes. At that point, Detective Bowman entered the room and informed Antoinette that she was under arrest and could no longer leave freely. As the investigation unfolded, a dark truth began to emerge. The depths of a mother's betrayal were laid bare, revealing a heinous plot that defied comprehension. Antoinette Davis, driven by desperation and twisted circumstances, was accused of selling her own daughter into the clutches of sexual exploitation. The weight of this revelation hung heavily in the air, causing a collective gasp of disbelief. In a remote location, far from the familiar streets of Fayetteville, Shania's lifeless body was discovered. Around 1:00 p.m. that day, one of the officers from the Virgin Islands and his training dog found Shania's body lying partially under a log in an area with deer carcasses near the intersection of Highway 87 and Walker Road. Police collected forensic evidence at the scene. Medical examiners concluded that Shania's cause of death was asphyxiation. Blood was found on anal and vaginal swabs, also indicating sexual trauma. On November 19, 2009, Mario McNeil was charged with first-degree murder and first-degree rape of the victim. The world stood still, collectively holding its breath as the tragic news reverberated throughout the nation. Tears flowed freely and hearts bled with a profound grief that would never truly heal. On July 5, 2011, a Cumberland County grand jury indicted Mario for first-degree murder, rape of a child by an adult offender, sexual offense of a child by an adult offender, felony child abuse inflicting serious bodily injury, felony child abuse by prostitution, first-degree kidnapping, human trafficking of a minor victim, and sexual servitude of a minor victim, as well as taking indecent liberties with a child. Justice, though delayed, was eventually served. Mario McNeil, the monster who had snatched Shania from the safety of her home, was brought to trial. On May 23, 2013, a jury found Mario guilty of first-degree murder based on malice, premeditation, and deliberation, and under the felony murder rule, with the underlying felonies being sex offense of a child and kidnapping. The jury also found him guilty of all other remaining charges, except for rape of a child by an adult offender. The courtroom became a battleground of raw emotions where the light of truth fought to pierce the darkness of evil. McNeil was found guilty of heinous crimes that stole the life of an innocent child. The trial court then held a capital sentencing proceeding. On May 29, 2013, the jury returned a binding recommendation that Mario McNeil be sentenced to death for first-degree murder. The trial court accordingly sentenced Mr. McNeil to death for first-degree murder and to consecutive sentences of 336 to 413 months for sexual offense against a child by an adult offender, 116 to 149 months for first-degree kidnapping, 116 to 149 months for human trafficking of a minor victim, 116 to 149 months for sexual servitude of a minor victim, and 21 to 26 months for taking indecent liberties with a child. Antoinette Davis, consumed by guilt and remorse, faced the consequences of her actions. She, too, stood before the judge, and her tears mingled with the silent cries of a shattered community. The weight of her betrayal pressed heavily upon her shoulders as she was sentenced to a life forever tarnished by her actions. Antoinette was charged with human trafficking, felonious child abuse, felony conspiracy, first-degree kidnapping, first-degree murder, rape of a child by an adult offender, sexual servitude, and taking indecent liberties with a child. In exchange for dismissal of the rape charge and reduction from first to second-degree murder, Antoinette entered an Alford plea on 18th of October 2013. Pursuant to the plea agreement, she was sentenced to 210 to 260 months imprisonment. She is eligible for release from prison in 2027. Several red flags were raised in the case of Shania Davis, indicating a history of abuse and neglect. Witnesses and family members reported observing signs of abuse, including burn marks on her limbs and a cigarette burn near her eye, allegedly inflicted by her grandmother. Tragically, this abuse ultimately led to Shania's death in 2009. Family members and witnesses believe that if Shania had not been placed in such a dangerous environment, she would still be alive today. Disturbingly, a state report suggests that the very agencies responsible for removing children from abusive situations may have overlooked the warning signs in Shania's case. Despite a drug raid at her parents' house, law enforcement failed to contact Child Protective Services. Additionally, school leaders had concerns about her family, but did not report them at the time. The Department of Social Services eventually became involved, but the report indicates that the case was closed in 2007, 2 years before Shania's tragic death in 2009. These revelations highlight systemic failures in identifying and responding to signs of abuse, ultimately leading to a devastating outcome for Shania Davis. The memory of Shania Davis, a young girl who delighted in playing dress up and had a touch of a tomboy spirit as she played basketball and rode her scooter, continues to resonate. She dreamed of becoming a singer and longed to join the children's choir at her church. Shania's presence lives on, not only in the hearts of those who cherished her, but also in the profound lessons drawn from her heartbreaking story. Her memory serves as a poignant reminder of the vital need for vigilance, safeguarding the well-being of the vulnerable, and steadfast commitment to upholding the rights of every child. Shania Davis stands as a symbol of the importance of cherishing and protecting the innocence, potential, and happiness of every young life. Her legacy prompts us to strive for a world where all children are cherished, nurtured, and shielded from harm. As the sun sets over the small town of Fayetteville, the spirit of Shania dances among the stars. Her infectious laughter and radiant smile etched in the collective memory of a community forever changed. And through the darkness, a glimmer of hope remains, inspiring a renewed commitment to safeguarding the precious lives that grace our world.